What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video, and today we've got the best farming method for that high tier loot inside of tier 3 high threat zone solo players exclusive. Now, you could also do this with groups and absolutely dominate it even more, but trust me, this is fast, easy. We're going to make sure that you're pretty much unstoppable inside of this zone. This build is going to make you just melt everything. I mean, you're going to be able to run away from all the zombies inside of tier 3. You're going to be moving in and out of everything. Barely ever going to go down. The only thing that might put you down is, you know, getting stuck in some of the scaffoldings or some of those moments where you just get completely surrounded. But trust me, we're going to be farming so much loot, you're going to have a stack of self-revives, and you will need at least one going in. But trust me, more than likely, I've done it for hours now at this point where I haven't even gone down, but maybe twice. And most of the time it's because I've just backed myself up into something and then didn't realize I was stuck on something. But beyond that, we're going to be killing every abomination, we're going to be running through every bounty contract, and we are going to be farming that loot to the brim. You're going to be stacked out with the ray guns, Pack-a-Punch 3, Pack-a-Punch 2, all the Pack-a-Punch crystals. Sadly enough, schematics don't seem to drop all that often, but I did end up getting about 3 of those schematics for the ray guns, so if you're hunting that one right now, you're going to not only find a lot of ray guns as consumables, but you might also get that schematic in the future. But let's get straight into the loadout. Now, you may have been seeing a lot of videos recently talking about the crossbow. We're basically a Super Saiyan version of Norman Reedus with this thing in this game right now, and it is absolutely melting everything. And the number one reason for this is actually going to be the Bright Blaze bolts. This is basically the number one thing about this build, and it's the thermite tip. Now, that paired with the Napalm Burst, I believe what's happening here is Napalm Burst is one of those random triggering damage effects that effectively, unlike the cryo mod where every round is constantly adding a slow, after a certain amount of rounds from the napalm burst, you will finally get that napalm burst effect that'll amplify that damage. And I believe every tick of the thermite from the bolts stuck in an enemy is actually ramping up that napalm burst to trigger way more often than it should, and that is why it's absolutely melting right now. You definitely want to jump on this pretty soon. More than likely, they won't patch it for another week or two. I mean, we've seen what how they've been doing, but at the same time, you know, we're getting close to Christmas, so maybe they won't patch it until next year. That's one of those COD problems, but sometimes it just benefits you. But it can make this a whole lot of fun, and it's going to give you so much ease of access to not only do it by yourself or group up with friends, but just farming that loot inside of tier 3. Now, not always is it going to be the best loot. For whatever reason, sometimes it just feels like I'm basically running tier 1 missions, but other times it is stacked to the brim with everything you would like to have. Now, when it comes to our tactical, I've got the monkeys right now because I just came out of a farming run, and trust me, you're going to be stacked out with those black hole grenades and monkeys. But the number one going in is going to be decoy grenade, because when you throw this, it acts like a monkey, it just won't explode. Now, keep in mind, it does have a little bit of a delay, so once you throw it, you'll have to wait a moment before it starts pinging off and popping shots effectively, and then pulling the zombies away. But we'll be able to utilize that to either get the zombies away from the purple portal after completing some of these high value targets in order to get the loot without having a whole mob on top of us, especially in certain moments where we're going to be stacked to the brim in our backpack, and we're going to be picking and choosing what we want to replace inside of our bag when we find better loot. You're going to have just too much stuff, and you're going to be throwing blues and purples out the window when you're looking for all these legendaries. Now, up next, lethal. I've been going with the throwing knife because no matter what, even in tier 3, this is a one-shotter and you can reclaim it. So some of those moments when you've got some of those hounds on your heel, you can just turn around, quickly throw that in their head, hopefully get some plates or some ammo to drop out of them, but then you'll also get that back, and it can save your life in multiple moments, including whenever you have instant kill. Using that melee while holding a weapon actually turns that into a one-shotter, and you'll just be able to melee your way out. Now, if you're going in solo, the field upgrade you're going to want is Frenzied Guard. But this is going to be for those oh snap moments where you're going to need to pop that whenever you're getting close to death, immediately just getting all those shields up or aggroing it from other people. Depends on what your playstyle is. Now, arguably, you could possibly use Ether Shroud. The one good thing about having Ether Shroud inside of the tier 3 zone is there's no shortage of zombies. So you're constantly going to have this up on recharge. Me personally, I just want the aggroed one. I want full plates as soon as I pop this. Sometimes you just want to pop it just to get the full plates because you know you're going to be killing zombies and you can get it fully recharged after that. Whereas Ether Shroud's more of a I need to just get away for a moment. But trust me, with this, with the perks that we'll have and using fists as the running capability, you'll be able to just outrun pretty much every zombie. So Ether Shroud almost becomes a little bit redundant, whereas Frenzied Guard not only is going to be something that can save you in certain concerning moments, but it'll also fully shield you in other moments when you may not have shields. But we will also have a plethora of shield strapping from how many zombies we'll be killing and how we'll be farming them. Now, when it comes to perks, we're going to want Speed Cola. That's just overall going to make us faster at plating and reloading our weapon, which makes the crossbow even more deadly. It's almost half a second whenever you're fully reloading it. And when you pack a punch the crossbow, we've got 3 rounds in it every time. It's absolutely ridiculous. After that, Stamina Up. We're going to need this as we're not going to be using anything other than the crossbow. If you're using another weapon with this, I'd highly suggest possibly just going with a pistol. That way you can maximize your overall speed. Because when running with fists, I mean, there's nothing that can stop you, especially with Stamina Up. You're going to be outrunning every single one of those zombies, and the only thing that might be nipping at your heel is going to be a couple of those hounds, and they may only do it 1 or 2 times, but all you'll hear is what sounds like, I mean, horses running through the woods, because that sound effect of their paws just coming after you is, it's slow and ridiculous, a little bit ominous, but that's pretty much all you'll hear. When it comes to Pack-a-Punching your weapon, all we're going to need is Pack-a-Punch 2. That's going to give us the maximum amount of damage, and we'll be ready to roll into Tier 3. From that point, this crossbow is going to be having the most melting power I've seen in the game thus far, and you're going to be outshining everybody with an LMG or any type of weapon. It is absolutely devastating. I've had more than a few moments where I have just outshined too many people, and I've stole some bounties from them, apparently, while they're in Tier 3, barely surviving, but, you know, that's a story for another day. But at that same point, what we're going to really be looking for is having at least a Pack 1 or Pack 2 crystal on top of having those 3 perks. When it comes to the rarity, you really do want something at least at the rare level, but if you don't have that, trust me, you're going to be finding it no matter what. Even if you have just uncommon, you're still going to be dealing enough damage in order to get some of those missions done. And the first mission we'll initially get done is going to be not an escort mission. We're going to be doing the cargo delivery, so you may end up getting one from that at the same point, but at a certain point, we're going to have everything that we need to basically just run straight in every single time that we come into the match, just going straight for the Tier 3 zone for that farming run. But let's get into the gameplay now and showcase this strategy. Now, once in the match, our main goal is going to get the weapon up to Pack 2, and we're going to want to get that Juggernog, the Stamina Up, and the Speed Cola. Really won't take you long, especially if you already have that napalm mod added to the weapon. Even at gray value before it's even pack-a-punched, it will still be extremely deadly, so you'll be able to knock out those bounty contracts or hit up the cargo delivery missions. Those are going to be the fastest at the very beginning, and if you don't have the napalm mod, one of the best locations to actually try and look for these that almost guaranteed to always have ammo mods in the location is going to be ether nests that are at gas stations inside of the Tier 2 zone. So many times I've come into there and there's the one big ether chest and it's just stacked to the brim with 3 to 4 of the ammo mods. Not always is it going to be the napalm mod, but as far as I can tell, it's going to be your best in slot when it comes to possibly getting that higher chance of finding a napalm mod inside of that, along with possibly any of the other ammo mods that you may be looking for. But going forward from that, you know, if you do need to find some, I would make a strong argument to farm it before you come in with a different weapon. The crossbow's not the greatest at clearing ether nests, or if all else, you know, if you come in and you don't have one, find a weapon somewhere else so you can shoot the ether nest cysts while you're inside of there. You'll be easily able to clear some of the zombies, but it's not the best inside of closed-in quarters, considering that thermite's going to be splashing damage back at us, and if we're completely surrounded, it can be a bit of a pickle inside there. But we're inside of the Tier 3 zone. We're going for our first bounty contract over here. Movement is life. You do want to constantly be moving. There are a couple of locations inside of this area that we can sit still and kind of take a little bit of a breather, but we'll get to those a little bit later on. Rooftops are going to be your best friend, but when it comes to having a bounty over here in this courtyard location, we'll be able to just snipe them a bit from the rooftop. Now, that abomination's never going to shoot us lasers. It's almost like he can never see us, even though I feel like he should be able to be capable of that. But we'll be able to just plow him with a bunch of those arrows. You'll want to try and hit him in the face, get those mouths, that way we can get the weak spot damage. That's going to really melt him super fast. But right now we're actually using a pack 2 with a gray crossbow, so you'll notice it's still dealing all the damage that it should be. But every time that I'm looking left, I'm making sure that there's no zombies coming up. There's a ladder on the left side of this building where the zombies can come up. It just takes a minute for them to do that. But we will need to farm these zombies, kill them for their plates, and we need ammo. The best way to keep a steady supply of ammo in the tier 3 zone for the crossbow specifically is by killing these zombies. And anytime you see a ladder on a roof, we're going to be able to sit there, shoot 3 bolts at the ground, instantly melts everything coming up. You're going to be able to utilize this in a lot of different locations, but if you do find yourself going for a ladder and going up onto a rooftop trying to utilize that method to either get plates, clear out the pack behind you, or just get ammo, be sure you're on a rooftop that only has 1 ladder, because if there's 2 ladders, it can turn into a pear-shaped situation real quick. But the one problem with ammo and ammo stashes in this location, you may think you could resupply yourself on that. Sadly enough, if you get down to 0 and you go to one of those ammo stashes, you're only getting 9 bolts out of that. So we're going to have to farm the rest all the way up to 60 from just killing these zombies. And luckily enough, there's so many that are armored as well, and we're able to kill them so easily. We're just going to be able to feed ourselves consistently with this. Now, not always is this going to be the case. Well, here comes one of those messed up moments where we killed the bounty while we were looking away clearing some other zombies, and sadly enough, we got no purple portal. I've had this happen in tier 1, tier 2, and now in tier 3, the most irritating one. But luckily enough, we still get a little bit, or we still get the essence from that completing the contract, but we also get the essence on the ground as well as the loot that drops directly from the Mega Abomination. So we've got a ray gun straight off the bat and a good bit of essence. If you needed some self-revives, you know, this would be a great time to just point out one of those, but we're going for that second bounty right now, and this time we've got another Mega Abomination. Now, this time, we're going to be jumping over here. You notice I just threw a decoy grenade, or you may not have noticed since it was sped up, but we're going to hit the ammo station, not for the ammo for the bolts. We actually need this to get 3 decoy grenades. I can't believe it. My mic is completely covering what to showcase this, but every time you hit that ammo stash, you'll actually have 3 decoy grenades instead of just 2, so we've got 3 chances to just throw those off to the side, distract all the zombies. That way we can get over to that portal with the loot. Now over here, we are going to need to jump onto this bench, and this rooftop, pretty much zombies don't notice us. It's like there's this weird invisible wall for their alertness. If you do go to the edge of this rooftop, they can sometimes notice you and start chunking that meat. Be careful of that. Tier 3 zone, if you get a lot of them chunking that meat, it is absolutely an instant down, so do keep that in mind. In certain locations, if they can get the eye on you, or if they can get the arc with that chunk of meat, it can be absolutely deadly. But this is one of those locations where we can't farm for that loot and plates, so what we're going to need to do is throw down one of those decoy grenades, pull everything over, and then start melting them. Now, this wasn't the most ideal location for throwing that decoy grenade. I wish I did it a little bit more over to the left. As you'll notice, these umbrellas are kind of blocking us a bit. And once I jump down there, it gets a little bit hairy. We don't go down, but we do take a decent amount of damage. I didn't notice that there was 3 more, and it only takes a second for them to really get on top of you and almost get you down. We got a little too close right there, but if you throw it a little bit over to the left and you clear out more, if not all of the zombies, you should do fairly well. Now that we've got enough ammo, and thankfully we've got that guy looking straight at us, we're able to hit some of those weak spots. Sadly enough, the Abomination does turn around quite often. It's almost like he knows that you're basically farming him with these bolts, or that you're on a rooftop and he just doesn't want to be easily taken down. Or maybe he does want to be taken, who knows. That's a whole different situation right there, but this is another one of those moments where I needed to get a little bit of that ammo. Wasn't getting much off the ground. You notice I got no ammo for whatever reason. Buttons are playing a little bit tricky on me, and then all of a sudden the Abomination noticed us and he got a lot closer. Now we'll actually be able to melt him really nicely since he's directly in front of us. But we still got 1 decoy grenade left, and we're saving that for the moment when we actually take him down. Now we'll be able to throw that decoy grenade and then jump down there and start getting some of our loot. You're going to find a lot of large backpacks, random of the colas. Stamina up, always a good one to grab up. You will basically refund yourself for all the colas that you may have brought in order to get this run a lot faster. Sometimes I'll stow the monkeys, but a lot of times I will keep the decoy grenades because every time I hit an ammo station, I can refill all 3 of those decoy grenades every single time. Whereas with the monkeys, it's not going to refill it. It's a one-time use, and more than likely, we really just need to distract the zombies instead of actually killing all of them. So we can do that easily with the bolts from the arrow. And ended up finding a purple mask over here. You'll find that times when you're actually running around this, you'll despawn zombies in different locations. That's why certain times when you're running all the way around this and basically you had a full-on train behind you, and if you jump over one railing, that makes them have to go around a different angle to get to you. You'll notice in front of you, it just seems more peaceful and clear, and you just don't have anything to really worry about. Like this moment right here, easily just going up to this ladder. There's no zombies hanging around, and we're able to just jump over back to that rooftop with another mega abomination over here. Now I've sped this one up again because we already know the trick right here. We're going to constantly be hitting him, looking over to our left, making sure those zombies aren't coming in, being able to funnel them in between this little walkway on this ledge, and then go over there, farm some of those zombies just to make sure that we've got ammo, and get some more of those plates up. Very simple. Now, if you're looking for other perks that may make this experience a little more rewarding or give you a little bit more survivability, Elemental Pop's going to be fantastic for just adding a little bit more damage in between the Napalm Burst's actual activation. On top of that, you can also get Quick Revive, which is going to reduce your health regen delay by 50%, just going to make it even faster for you to get that health back in certain moments when you may have taken a couple of hits. We did end up getting a Wonder Waffle and an Epic Ether tool over here. Not too bad of a haul. Sadly enough, though, that Wonder Waffle would only be able to use for this one match, and it's not going to be one that's the consumable that we can find and stow and take out and then bring back in for a different match. But another perk that would also be pretty nice is Tombstone as an insurance policy. But before we get a little bit into that one, you'll notice over here we've actually got another one of those rooftops where we can take a breather. If you jump over onto this right and head up this ladder, on this section of it, where this deadbolt tower is pretty often spawned, you'll notice we've got a couple of those chunks of meat coming at us, but they can't come up this ladder for whatever reason. And if you get even higher up, you know, it's just another one of those extra security measures where it doesn't seem like up top here they can actually throw chunks of meat at you. Little bit confusing, but if you're looking for a spot where you can kind of take a breath and look at your inventory or use something, or even just look at the map, that's going to be another one of those spots. Now, in this room with that bounty, you do want to head through the left door. You can head through the right door, but I've had complications coming out of that one where I've been met with a crowd as I'm running that kind of looped around to me, or if you've got some of those hellhounds, it can be problematic. But heading back to talk about Tombstone, you know, it's just one of those insurance policies where if you got a lot of good loot, schematics, pack 3 crystals, you know, if you do end up dying, you can just save that at that gravestone for another match to come in. And you've seen how many backpacks we get out here. You'll have plenty of time to just re-up and be able to get all those consumables yet again. And another little note when it comes to disciples, if you're on a rooftop, they can actually just teleport to you. And it just makes it so much easier once they do that to just face melt them right there and then be able to just reach in that portal to get all your loot with ease. Now, you could end up just farming those mega abominations, you know, that are just roaming out and about. They do have a little bit less health than the version that does come from the high value target, but they more than likely, I don't know if they can even drop the ray gun schematic from that. I've seen them drop pretty much everything else, the ether tool, but I haven't seen them drop any schematics themselves. It seems that that's only something from completing the contracts as far as I can tell. But you could end up just farming them for a bit more of the resources. You know, the essence is still going to do that. And yes, we're at the next mega abomination super easy melt location, which is going to be the gas station. Over here, we'll be able to just shoot him directly in the face. Hopefully he doesn't turn around on us. But there's one ladder over on our left. One thing to keep in mind is there is one other ladder, but generally when you're on this side of it, they're only going to come for this ladder over on our left. So we'll just keep peeking over to the left. putting 3 bolts down right there, making sure that anything that does come up is just going to get melted. That way we're getting the ammo piling up over there and the armor. But that one ladder on the other side, there may randomly occur to be just 1 or maybe 2 zombies coming up behind you, so do be aware of that. You do want to kind of keep your plates up on this one, or just be, vigilant for those moments. Especially when it comes to conserving your ammo, you do want to make sure that you've got at least 3 bolts left at all times, But you'll notice we were able to just melt that abomination so fast. It's ridiculous in moments like this when we can be that efficient. Now, sadly enough, we didn't get the greatest haul on this one. Brain rot, 2 large backpacks, but the Epic Ether tool would be worth it. I just didn't have any room for it. I've got too much in the stash right now. I've got pack 3 crystals. I mean, it was kind of hard to do this video considering I was just wanting to use the pack 3 crystal for it, but I wanted to showcase that you can get it done with a pack 2. You don't need the pack 3, and you can get it done with a lower rarity, which right now all we're doing is the blue tier of the crossbow. So you can already tell from this point, if you actually do get it up to pack 3 or you just get it up to a higher rarity, you're just going to be melting that much faster and making this that much more efficient when it comes to farming this for loot. I must have did this farming run for almost 12 hours. I mean, I've got juggernauts, I've got pack 3 crystals, I've got ray guns. I've got so many ray guns at this point that are consumables that I've started coming into matches, going into tier 1, finding a group and just being like, you guys want a ray gun, just dropping it. Just feed the community. I mean, I don't even need it at this point. The crossbow's too powerful right now. They need to buff the ray gun. That's what I know for a fact, because that thing just does not feel like it does enough damage. But at the same time, I've never pack 3'd it, so who knows? It may end up being a little bit more beneficial, but I just don't feel like it has the damage when it comes to armored zombies. Now, you'll notice I'm kind of getting into a bit of a hairy situation over here. Somebody else had come over and they were doing the bounty that I wanted to do, actually. So I came over here actually to help them finish it. That way other bounties would end up spawning again. If you come to a moment where you see like an escort and possibly a safe, or what is it? What was the other one? Outlast contract. Go over to those and just grab them up and then cancel them. That way you can get a rotation of the actual contracts that you want, the bounties or the cargo delivery. If you see the cargo delivery, just go do that one. It's super fast. All of the contracts in the tier 3 zone are going to be having the same loot table, so they can all drop the ray gun schematic or the other schematics or any of that high tier loot. It just has that problematic experience of possibly also having what feels like the tier 1 loot, considering you can still get a green uncommon ether tool. You can still get the blue ether tools, the ammo mods. The only one right now I want is that napalm one, but that's effectively that full run right there. You can just keep farming this. Honestly, in this match, I could have kept going, but I really wanted to kind of condense this down. I didn't actually want to spend as much time as I did, but I got that loot fiend in me, so I just wanted to have more of that loot. So I just every time, as soon as you get into the rhythm with this and you just keep running it, you just can't stop. You just want to keep going for more schematics, better loot, more juggernauts. I mean, when you start, your eyes just go black. You're just like, man, that's the best loot I've ever seen. So powerful right now. But that's going to be it right there, guys. Hopefully this has helped you out. I hope all of you get the best RNG tables when it comes to actually getting that loot, because not all of my runs have, but I've had more than a few good ones myself. And hopefully you can get this to the point where you're just recycling, able to get in. And later on, I will be doing more content in the future. If you'd like to see some more content like this, especially when it comes to Modern Warfare Zombies, hit that subscribe button. We've got more than a few things coming in the future. Season 1's coming up. We've got a lot of updates. And at some point, this weapon's going to get patched, and there's going to be a new best in slot when it comes to this. And trust me, we'll be on top of it over here at the Raging Reaper 1 channel. Over here at Radio Reaper, we've got everything you need. Now, that being said, if you'd like to see some of this content live, hit that link down in the description below. Follow me over at Twitch. I'm going to be streaming daily, and we'll have plenty of zombies content. I may even run some people through this. If you'd like to, just come swing on by if we don't have a full team. If I'm just running solos, especially in the early mornings, don't even worry about asking. I'll more than likely just run you through and we can get a ton of loot. I'm going to be running it anyways. 2 people gives us more opportunities for more loot and just getting it done more efficiently, more time or less time consumed. With that being said, hopefully this has helped you out, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.